Okay, so let's talk about something that, on the surface, seems pretty simple. A small road, less than 3 kilometers long, in a remote part of Odisha, India. But what if I told you this little strip of road has sparked a violent pre-dawn clash, left dozens of people injured, and kicked off a massive legal battle? So how does that happen? Let's dig in and figure out what's really going on in Sijimali.
Just listen to that. That's from Singh, a local community leader. His words really paint a picture of the absolute chaos and shock of what happened on the morning of April 7th. You can almost feel it, can't you? An event that started in the dark but has ended up shining a very harsh light on a much bigger fight that's been brewing for years.
So what really went down that morning on April 7th? Well, that's the thing. It completely depends on who you talk to. The story of that day basically splits into two totally different realities.
And when I say different, I mean it's like night and day. On one side, you have the villagers. They say the police showed up in the dead of night, around 2:30 or 3 in the morning, and just started attacking people, injuring more than 50, a lot of them elderly women. They even have photos of tear gas shells. But the police? They say they didn't get there until 5 a.m., and that they were the ones who were attacked with stones and axes, leaving 58 of their officers injured. And get this, they say that massive force of 200 personnel was all just to arrest a single person. It's two versions of the same event with absolutely no common ground.
All of this, the violence, the injuries, the completely opposite stories, it all centers on one single thing: a road. Let's take a closer look at what seems to be the trigger for this whole mess.
And that's the big question, isn't it? I mean, a road is usually seen as a good thing, a sign of development and progress. So why on earth would this one become the site of such a brutal fight?
Here's what makes it so baffling. We're talking about a road that's barely 3 kilometers long. It's tiny. It seems totally insignificant. To understand why people are literally fighting over it, we have to look at what this road is really for. And that brings us to a really important legal distinction.
So, in the eyes of the law, a project can be one of two things. Is it standalone, just a road for the sake of being a road? Or is it ancillary, meaning it's actually just one small piece of a much, much bigger puzzle? And trust me, the difference is huge. A standalone project can breeze through approvals, but an ancillary one has to be judged as part of the whole shebang it's connected to. Which of course begs the question, what's the whole shebang here?
Well, here's your answer. That little road, it was never just about the road. It's the front door to something absolutely enormous, the Sijimali Bauxite Project. Yeah, let's just cut right to it. This tiny, less than 3 kilometer road is being built for one reason and one reason only: to give Vedanta Limited, a global mining giant, access to its proposed bauxite mine. And suddenly, the stakes just went through the roof. And if you want to understand just how high those stakes are, you got to look at the numbers. First up, the sheer size of the operation. The mining lease covers over 1,500 hectares. That is a massive area.
And what's underneath all that land? Oh, just about 311 million tons of bauxite reserves. The main ingredient in aluminum. We are talking about a staggering amount of natural wealth just sitting there in the ground.
And the plan is to pull it out of the ground fast, like 9 million tons every single year. So yeah, this is not some small-time operation. This is an industrial giant. And that little road is the one and only key to unlocking all of it.
But here's the crucial part. This land isn't empty, not by a long shot. It is home to tribal communities, people who have lived there for generations. And they're supposed to be protected by a very specific set of laws designed to do just that.
Think of it like a legal shield. First, you've got the Forest Rights Act, which basically says the people who live in the forest have rights to it. Then there's the PESA Act, and this one is huge. It says you can't just take land. You need consent from the village council. They have to agree, period. And on top of all that, their religious and cultural sites are protected, like their deity Raja, who they believe lives in those hills. So what we're seeing here isn't just a protest. It's people standing up for rights that are guaranteed to them by law.
Now, if any of this is starting to sound familiar, you're not wrong. It really feels like we've seen this movie before, because, well, we have. The setting was just a little different, a place called Neamgiri Hills.
And you really have to know this backstory to get what's happening now. Back in 2013, in another case, also involving Vedanta, India's Supreme Court made a landmark ruling. They said the final decision belonged to the local tribal communities. And what happened? Every single village council voted no, unanimously. They protected their sacred mountain. So fast forward to today, and here we are again. Same company, same mineral, and the same exact fight over consent and rights is playing out all over again in Sijimali.
So,
where does all of this leave everyone right now? Well, after all the violence and with these huge legal questions just hanging in the air, the entire project is pretty much stuck. It's in a total state of limbo.
Here's a quick breakdown of where things stand. First, the communities have taken their fight to court, arguing that the road's clearance was illegal from the start. Second, all work on the road has been completely stopped since that clash in April. Third, this has blown up into a political issue, with opposition parties now involved. And finally, all eyes are on the National Green Tribunal. Their next hearing on May 18th could be a massive turning point for this entire conflict.
Ultimately, when you step back, you realize this was never really about a road or even just one mine. It's about a fundamental conflict, a clash over land, resources, and rights. And it leaves all of us with a pretty critical question. When the drive for industrial progress slams head-on into ancient traditions and legally protected rights, who really gets to decide which way we go? Who gets to draw the map?